Happy New Year. Welcome back. Let's talk about my favorite nonfiction reads for 2023. You'll never believe what happened to Lacy, Crazy Stories About Racism by Amber Ruffin and her sister, Lacy Lamar. I loved this. Fantastic. Amber Ruffin. She's a performer on and also writes for Late Night with Seth Meyers. Amber Ruffin writes with her sister Lacy Lamar with humor and heart. Now a writer and performer on Late Night with Seth Meyers and host of the Amber Ruffin Show, Amber lives in New York where she is no one's first black friend and everyone is, as she puts it, stark raving normal. But sister Lacy, she still lives in their home state of Nebraska, and trust, you'll never believe what happened to Lacy. From racist donut shops to strangers putting their whole hand in her hair, her being mistaken for a prostitute to being mistaken for Harriet Tubman. I've been horrible with reviewing books, but if I'm super excited when I finish something, I will throw a little blurb up on Goodreads. So for this one, I said, so good if you can call a book about lessons on racism good, even while tackling the topic of personal, unbelievable, but oh so believable racist events in her and her sister's lives. It somehow remains smart, upbeat, and fast-paced. Smart humor comes in hand when discussing such shitty matters. This was so entertaining. The audio is fantastic. She narrates it, just recalling all of these events that have happened to her sister as her sister stayed back in the small town that they grew up in. The various incidents of racist interactions that she's had with people there. It's so pathetic and mind-boggling, shocking, horrifying. But the talent with which she tells these stories and the humor used by BIPOC people throughout the years to just be able to deal with the shittiness of racism and how prevalent it is in the world still to this very day, to just keep going and make life livable, you have to laugh to get through it. And she does a great job. There's so much humor and it's so funny while learning these life lessons of the struggles that people are still going through, what not to do and who not to be and how not to act. Chef's kiss, so well done. I'm a super fan. I will read, listen to anything she releases. So funny, super fast paced, never was preachy, very, very entertaining. She's so talented. The Body Keeps the Score, Brain, Mind, and Body in the Healing of Trauma by Bessel Vander. This is the #1 book that I have recommended to everyone from last year as far as nonfiction reads. Even just overall, this book was so great. Like, we all know that trauma and stress manifests physically, and just, you know how you think, like, oh yeah, things come out this way and things lead to like heart disease or like neuro issues or autoimmune. You think but then to get it from the doctor and just the science behind it, it was fascinating. And you feel it and you talk about it around the kitchen table or with your coworkers, but then to hear the professionals that have been schooled in it for years and years divulge the information and just the science of how it's interconnected with just like hurt, stress, and sadness and how it represents in the body. It was fascinating. I absolutely loved it. I literally recommend it to everybody. It's such an important read. Gets a little long at the end, but hang in there. It's so good. Seriously, like, everyone should read this. One of my most anticipated reads in 2023, and it did not disappoint. Made it to a lot of other people's top lists as well. The Wager, A Tale of Shipwreck, Mutiny, and Murder by David Grann. So good. This one was so delicious, you guys. This was so well done. Oh, by the way, this is by the author that wrote Killers of the Flower Moon. So if that lets you know anything about the quality of the writing, there you go. A page-turning story of shipwreck survival, savagery, culminating in a court-martial that reveals a shocking truth. The powerful narrative reveals the deeper meaning of the events of the Wager, showing that it was not only the captain and crew who ended up on trial, but the very idea of the empire. So much happens. So much happens. The shipwreck is only like a part of it, and the survival of like the crew making it to be rescued, like, you think everything's over, and then years and years later history reveals some things, like, and karma comes back for her justice. It's so entertaining, so good, absolutely fascinating. Such an interesting story. If you guys are fans of adventure, sailing, shipwreck, just survival, revenge, people getting their just dues, karma showing her ass, like, highly recommend. It's great, and the narration was great. The narrator's fantastic. It was narrated by Grann. He also narrated Killers of the Flower Moon, numerous other books. Trying to keep this video short, keep it pushing. But if you love mystery, survival, adventure, definitely give The Wager a go. Another super popular book that everyone was talking about last year, I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. When I say this girl went through it, she went through it. So basically her mom pushed her into acting because her career as an actress didn't blossom into what she wanted it to be. So of course she's trying to live vicariously through her child who has had success, and just the narcissism, the abuse of it all, and the way that it manifests in this young woman's life and the things that she goes through and how she deals with the trauma and the different struggles that she develops as a result of her childhood. It's a lot, you guys, it's a lot, but it was very interesting, well told, and I was super filled for her. But I totally understand why we all thought this book was like, whew, crazy, because you hear the title and you're like, I'm glad my mom died, and it's like, whoa, let me see what's going on. And then you're like, I get it. It's a lot, but definitely worth the read. A book that spoke to my soul. My soul, you guys. Rest is Resistant, a manifesto by Trisha Hersey. Found out about this one from Rhea Books. Miss this face. Honey, this one hit home. The blurb. Far too many of us have claimed productivity as the cornerstone of success. Brainwashed by capitalism, we subject our bodies and minds to work at an unrealistic, damaging, and machine-level pace of work, feeding into the same engine that enslaved millions into brutal labor for its virtuous benefit. Our worth does not reside in how much we produce, especially for a system that exploits and dehumanizes us. Rest in its simplest form becomes an act of resistance and reclaiming our power because it disrupts and pushes back against capitalism and white supremacy. Me and the author, God, oh, so important. And I've been feeling this so much for like the past 2 years, even longer, but extremely for the past 2 years with like what I have going on in my personal life. And I'm tired of it. And it's nice to know that I'm not just, I don't know, we're like almost made to feel guilty if we want to rest, if we don't want to work ourselves to the bone to succeed and retire early and like have millions in the bank and this and this and that. It's so important how she breaks it down. The way that she walks through it, the way that she works through it, just how important it is. Like, we all know that we all need rest and we need to be satisfied emotionally, physically, just to like make it and survive. And how the society that we lived in has us just programmed to do exactly opposite of that, and how it doesn't lead to a good end. And just me and the author are eye to eye on her stance that she takes in telling the powers to be to shove it, that human beings have the right to feel the way that they feel about just not wanting to be on the hamster wheel 24/7. And it's like a whole different perspective on raging against the machine. I'm here for it. It leads to no good end, and we've been doing it for far too long. And I don't know why there isn't a heavy push for a change. Before, a lot of people weren't seeing it. More and more masses are seeing it now as people continue to work and work and work later into life, until death, and have no time to enjoy the fruits of their labor. People are finally starting to wake up, but I'm surprised it's taken this long and that there's not a harder push to actually enjoy life. Just our infrastructure of capitalism is just so embedded in our history that, like, I don't know if it'll ever change, or if it does, I don't know if it'll happen in my lifetime, but Highly recommend this book. Thank you to Ray of Books for even bringing this across my feed for me to like be aware of it, like immediately put it on hold when I saw her post and have no regrets. Guess he's back on the list with the second entry, Amber Ruffin and Lacy Lamar with the world record book of racist stories. Back at it again, sharing crazy, absurd, racist stories and little anecdotes of how to deal with them and get through them and not let life and the man bring you down, basically. Just my little quick review. Another gem about racism in America. I know it sounds weird, but trust me, how they managed to make such horrible instances of racism funny and entertaining, I don't know, but I'm here for it. And you should be too. It's crazy because it's so deep and so heavy, but like it's so enjoyable and funny, like almost uplifting, like listening to it. So if you're shying away because of the topic, don't. Definitely entertaining, and you just might learn something. How Not to Die by Dr. Michael Greger reveals the groundbreaking scientific evidence behind the only diet that can prevent and reverse many of the causes of disease-related death. Discover the foods scientifically proven to prevent and reverse disease. Seriously, there's no more to say about it. It is what it is. We know that the foods we eat kill us. We know that there are foods to combat this. It gives the science behind everything from the bad, what happens, to the good, how to reverse it. This I listened via audio, and I actually need to buy a physical copy of the book because I want it as a tool book just around the house. Such good information, easy to digest. It wasn't too highbrow, science-y to like understand in just layman terms, but really get the point across and let you know what's actually going on with the foods we consume and how they affect our organs and everything else, and what you can do about it. That's the thing. Like, let me know like the bad stuff and what's happening and like not to do it even though we know it. Like, I kind of like knowing the science behind what it's actually doing and the fact that we're given the tools to reverse and do better. Must read. Absolutely. Soil, The Story of a Black Mother's Garden by Camille Dungy. Oh, I love this one. Such a great memoir. All the feels, you guys. Whether you love gardening or not, this was such a great read. I actually did listen to it while I was doing a lot of work on the deck, like in my gardening, like a container garden. And I was just doing like a lot of work on the garden. And it was a great, great listen that morning. I remember I like kind of flew through it. All the feel good, down home vibes mixed with like the love and joy and lessons of gardening. Like almost a coming of age thrown through like a gardener's lens kind of, but just like all the memories of her with her mom and the things she goes through with her husband and her own kids. It was great. It was so good. It was lighthearted, but it was thorough at the same time. Definitely if you're looking for a memoir, if you're looking for a nonfiction read. I really, really enjoyed this one. I haven't heard enough people talk about it, but I'm sharing it with you guys, so maybe more people know about it now. Another self-empowerment book. Like, there were so many good ones last year. Set Boundaries, Found Peace, A Guide to Reclaiming Yourself by Nidra Glover Tawwab. So good. Like this one and Rest is Resistance, like pair them up, put them together. So useful. So if you're a beginner and need the help with learning how to set boundaries and you know you need to do this, there's good instruction for that. But also if you already know how to do this and are kind of implementing it, there are the steps and the talks to implement this further and be stronger and more forceful with doing this. I think it's something that most of us would find helpful and useful. I'm pretty good at setting boundaries, like not even gonna lie, like if I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it. Tell you about it, tell you about yourself. But still, it was a very good read, a lot of useful information and well written. If you're looking for a little self-empowerment to step up your self-care, change little things that you need to change in life to protect your peace, definitely recommend this one too. Slow AF Run Club. Slow AF Run Club, the ultimate guide for anyone who wants to run, by Martinez Evans. So refreshing, so fun. You guys might know if you follow me on Instagram, but I love running. used to be like an avid runner. A few injuries have had me down like the past few years. The whole pandemonium, all of that have gotten off course. Slowly trying to like build back and get to being a runner again. But this book, wonderful, told from his non-conventional perspective of being a heavier body person, a person of color, making his way into a community that is totally opposite of that, and just the different experiences he has, coming against stereotypes that he deals with. Being a black man running too, like that's a whole nother topic and a whole nother genre of books that need to be read regarding that. But it's told in such a humorous way, like all the different things that he experiences and his point of view and how handling them and the changes that he's made, the club that he created and how it includes everyone, and just like him trying to be included in other groups and eventually coming to terms and creating his own, but still being a part of those groups as well. Very entertaining. Even if you're not a runner, just very interesting to hear his personal accounts of the things that he's gone through, and just somebody like fighting against the mold of what is typical and standard. Really, really enjoyable. Super, super fast read. Definitely recommend it no matter what sports you're into, even if you don't like working out. Just this one was very enjoyable. Ending with another book about running, The Longest Run by Kara Goucher. Inside the secret world of abuse, doping, and deception on Nike's elite running team. Y'all. Okay, so Kara Goucher, like when I was like super into like my half marathon running and running all the time, she was one of the people that was on top. Amazing person. But when I tell you that I have not been a fan of Nike, I have boycotted Nike since like the mid to late 90s, like as a little kid, this book just really like reaffirmed everything that I have felt, still feeling. Like I still avoid them like the plague, and I'm not a fan of the brand, but it had more to do back in the day with all the stuff that came out about the sweatshops and like all that. And I know a lot of brands utilize ways to manufacture that they shouldn't, but that was my thing. Like I've never been a fan, and this and all the things that have gone on with this, because you know when you think of Nike you think of like the best athletes, like their running team is effing phenomenal, like always the best of the best, placing in like the top of the most elite races. And to find out that they were secretly doping and covering up how they were cycling the doping, like for the just, which a lot of sports do, I know, but we talking about Nike and running right now, okay? The abuse that she suffered with her coach, like sexual abuse and overstepping boundaries, and just how she was treated when she became a mom, like after she had her kids, like her contractual obligations, and it being impossible with the timing of like her having been pregnant and had a kid and still having to fulfill like her requirements to be paid, and then the amount that she was paid compared to like the men in her sport when she was like placed higher on top. Then they were just a mess. Like everything that you would think the title of this book would involve, and then put some more shittiness on top of it. Very interesting, so good. Another one where even if you don't know who she is, or if you're not a fan of running, like the dirt and ick with this is good. It's good tea. It's shitty, but it's good tea. Definitely interesting. I'm glad I read this one. Like totally just stoked the fires of my moral avoidance of that company. Like garbage, you guys. That is it. Top nonfiction reads of 2023. There were some good ones. I read 29 nonfiction books last year. Like, if I do say so myself. But yeah, there were a lot of good ones. So there was a little bit of a challenge to make like a top 10, but these are the ones that I super enjoyed, definitely like still are resonating with me, and that I constantly recommend to people to read, whether they're nonfiction predominantly readers or just anyone in general. So if you guys haven't read any of these, I hope there's someone here that you found interesting and that you take a little dive into and enjoy them. If you have read some, let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.